Good evening and welcome everyone again to tonight's official coverage of Round 7 in the 2024 Asrnz GT3 series. Tonight we are here at Silverstone for Round 7 out of 8, last of the Enduros, and obviously again tonight broadcast to you by Matchfit Entertainment, which means myself, Davo, J-Man, and again this week returning from a little bit of a couple of weeks off, Rusty Shackelford joins me in the comms booth for tonight's race. Welcome aboard, boys.
Thanks for having us, Paps. It's good to be back. Yes, I spent last week as a passenger in Valtteri Bottas's Uber as he was delivering hot meals to the people around the Brisbane suburbs. So it was a great experience to spend time with a Formula One driver, but it's good to be back. Valtteri's a little bit scary in traffic.
Matching mullets. And J-Man.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Good to be here. Clearly, we were, Rusty wasn't lacking entertainment this time last week as well, by the sound of it. So that, I must catch up on that story. But anyhow, it's great to be here. As you mentioned, round 7 here at the normally a bit chilly Silverstone for an enduro round.
Yes.
80 minutes on the card, Davo?
80 minutes on the card, yes. Chilly, but always entertaining. So definitely a race to look forward to. The boys are out in qualifying, so we might actually just jump straight to the track tonight and we'll pick up points while we wait for them to go to grid. Focused on Shane Farado's cars. So good turnout tonight here, boys. 27, I think I counted on track. Rounded out by Kenny Simpson, late entry here just before driver brief. So yeah, look, 27 drivers, Silverstone, 80-minute race with a CPS. This should be a good race, guys, on paper.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it. Kenny just sneaking in there before cutoff.
Oh yeah,
the marshals were closing the gate, and he came back and in with his trailer and dropped off the disc and rolled it off.
I think he dropped off a couple of cartons of beer as well, Rusty. Just
he buried him. He buried him last time he was here.
Yeah, make sure he could get through those gates. So yeah, the boys letting him in very late to the party tonight, fashionably late, as they would say. But the usual suspects up to Pointy End in pre-race practice, gents. I know, and look, we haven't watched a lot of pre-race practice actually. There's been a couple of little updates and a little bit of a server outage here and there, so just catching up myself, to be honest.
Yeah, and look, tonight 5.8 kilometres worth of Silverstone. Obviously some famous corners in there. I think there's always been a little bit of talk around the famous corners. However, the temperatures at the moment not overly warm. I actually haven't got them up on my data at the moment. I'm not sure if Rusty's got them up on his. However, I think it's cool enough to say that look, in prime conditions we might look at somewhere around a 156. But possibly 157s might be the flavour tonight. Maybe low 157s, you think, Rusty?
Mid to low, yeah?
Yeah, well, we've got the first times coming in here at qualifying. I can tell you so far, Mitch Campbell, we were talking about this pre-race, guys. The McLaren we suspect is going to be particularly strong here due to the nature of the course, a lot of high-speed, high aero turns. Mitch Campbell's just pumped out a 57.8 on his first flyer, which puts him top of the pops, as they say in Britain. So,
and yeah, like you said,
your benchmark.
First lap out, he's just getting a feel for the track, just seeing where that grip level is, and bam, there you go, 57.8. That is some benchmark, that's for sure.
Yeah, no surprises based on what we've seen in the previous weeks too, guys, that the Tokyo Taxi is out there punching the quickest terminal speed at a 256 kilometre an hour down the chute. So that Lexus certainly always got plenty of horsepower on a straight line. Was asking the question off camera actually whether the Nissans would feature. We saw them some 5 to 6k an hour quicker than every other manufacturer on their own merit last week. However, we did see the Mitch Campbell McLaren do a 271k an hour last week under the wing of, I think, one of the GTRs. So it'd be interesting to see, but relatively low terminal speeds at this track for such a flowing track.
Yeah. Yeah, surprisingly, isn't it really?
Well, I think it's, you know, it's all about carrying corner speed here, isn't it? And taking as much speed as you can through the turn to get onto those straights, because you do have a couple of straights, but they're not as long as, say, last week at Imola. But there's a high average speed here,
Yep.
but not necessarily a straight where you can max out in top gear, right? So,
yeah, they just don't get that chance to stretch their legs, really, do they? So,
no.
but yeah, definitely average speed. Look, and we did talk about this pre going to air, just how much space there is on this track. Obviously, a very famous Formula One track, very wide circuit. So, as much as it is wide, it's sort of, you know, we expect to see some side action, but like you mentioned, Rusty, it's hard to actually sneak it up beside them, you know, with the average speed so high. So
yeah, it can be very difficult to pass here, because the optimum line, even though the track is quite wide, the optimum line to get around the track is rather small. So, you know, you'll find trains can develop here, because you really only what you need to overtake for cars that are this fast. You need high braking zones, right? You need high speed followed by a really low corner, you know, hairpin or something like that.
Yep.
That's where you get your best efforts. But if you look at this particular track, you don't really have that. At the end of the straight, the main straight, you've got a very fast turn one, which is about 4th or 5th gear, depending on which car you're in. And at the next long straight, which is after Maggots and Beckett's, when you go under the overpass, that turn is, you know, 3rd gear. So there's no really
for sure
max braking zone that you can really kind of dive in under brakes. But in saying that, because the track is so wide, it really does encourage a lot of people to throw it up the inside and dive bomb, because they feel like, it gives you that illusion, right? That, there's so much space, I've got so much room to work with.
Yeah, and I suppose, again, you know, we talk about the high average speed, and, you know, like these guys really sort of, you know, looking for those big, you know, lateral grip levels, and, you know, it's the little mistakes that force the error and allow these guys to get side by side. And, you know, at least here they have got the room to do that, and to make things happen. So
you're right. There is, you know, there is that side of it. I mean, you know, we talk about those high-speed corners, the likes of Cops and then Stowe that you're just mentioning. Those two corners are both invitational corners to running wide, because of how high the terminal speed is as you go through both those right-handers. And then obviously, you know, guys going out there might tend to lift or something to come back onto negate the track cut, and then that poses an opportunity. So it'll be things like that. But funny, I was looking at this track earlier on, and some, I guess they weren't technical stats, they were just stats that were running through my head around the length, the amount of turns here, 5.8k, you know, sub 2 minute lap, that sort of 56, 57. I was comparing it to the 6.2 kilometre lap of Bathurst, a little bit closer to home, boys, and the potential speed that the cars make around there. Very, very different circuit, but funnily enough, not a lot of difference in the time to rotate around these tracks. You know, we've seen the GT3 cars in the previous race we just saw this year go sub 120. So funnily enough, there's only about 400 odd meters between the difference between the two. There's probably a little bit of difference on the corners, but I know previously driving this, and I think both you gentlemen could probably concur with me here, you know, you carve off a lot of laps at these tracks when you turn up and you race a season, and all those corners you mentioned, the likes of Cops, Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel, all that sort of stuff there, you tend to be pretty accurate with where you are. This track for me, I think, coming through Farm, the left-hander, fast left-hander through Farm, which is, and then it comes down to Village, and then you've got that really, really sharp left-hander into the loop, and we'll see a fair bit of action there tonight. I'm sure we'll mention it. Gaining or losing delta in a lap, often for me as a driver when I was here, that was where it was all won and lost, was down through that infield, that tight right, tight left section, and we'll see a bit of passing there tonight, I think.
Definitely, as we see the usual suspects, guys, start to rise to the top. We've got the Jamie Coasters, the Ethan Cales, the Phil Antoon still out on track as well. Actually, all these boys out on track Mitch Campbell in the pits, Vic Chan in the pits. Mitch just dropping it off the jacks, getting back out there. Nathan Henderson, first of the Pro-Ams, in 7th, mind you, punching well above his weight there. Lucas Saar in 11th, also in the Pro-Ams. First of the AM drivers, Phil Turner.
Your current points leader for that class too.
Yeah, and him and Mr. Turbot actually very close times as we start to wind down. A little over 3.5 minutes to go, ladies and gentlemen. Plenty of action to go.
If we could just touch on the championship standings just before we get to the last part of the qualifying here, just very quickly. Lucas Saar currently sitting in P11. Very important round tonight for Lucas Saar. He has a commanding lead in the Pro-Am Championship, but tonight could just be just a good solid finish from Lucas would probably see him home. We do have drop rounds this season, so that is definitely something to consider. But he's currently sitting on 959 points with his nearest rival, Vaughan Martin, on 774. If it's not wrapped up already, a nice solid finish from Lucas, who has been in fantastic form recently. Just going through his previous results. He's got a 4th at Zolder, and 3 or 4 top 10s during the season, which is, that's all you want when you're a Pro-Am, is to be sniffing around the top 10. So he's made that championship his own. And you mentioned the AM drivers. That's a really spicy championship at the moment. You've got Phil Turner currently leading Phil Davidson, 821 points to 785 respectively. So this tonight will be an opportunity for either Phil Turner to, kind of cement his lead here and consolidate and head into the last round with something that's, almost too much of a mount to climb, or it could be a night for Phil Davidson. Because it's an enduro, you've only got one shot at it tonight, and it's worth double points. Remember, enduros are worth double points. So,
and just look how close. And you're so right there, Rusty. But look how close they are in the lap times there. Qualifying lap times, or 1, 2, 3 in a row. Look, the competition's there, isn't it?
And I talked to Phil Turner during the week, actually, back into last week. I think it might have been just after that previous round, or maybe just before it. And he said the abacus was going crazy, trying to work out mathematically what did he need to do with the drop round situation. And he said it was still very, very tight. However, he said if there was no drop round, he was sitting pretty comfortable. So plenty to think about for those guys. And while we've been sort of chatting away, I'm sure you both clearly saw Jamie Kosa in there with the first of the 6s tonight. So 156, 952.
Yeah, did that actually sort of midway through the session. We just didn't get to it. But look, we sort of thought there would be a 56 in there tonight. And Kosa with the delivering that 56.9. Oh, as we just see Ethan Kale sneak it up there.
Yep.
How close is that?
Yeah, 935 plays a 952, and still nothing taking the overall top speed away from that Lexus as we speak to, boys.
For sure. Geordie Moss actually
taking it. Delta's screaming.
Delta is screaming, and look, chasing that 3rd position on the podium, I think, from Phil Antoon. So, and it looks like he might have it in it. Kosa is still, Jamie, it looks like he wants to have another crack at it. Got the racing socks on again tonight.
John Carter currently sitting in P5. That's a tremendous effort from John. Isn't it great to see 4 different manufacturers taking up the 4 top spots?
Yeah.
And I was kind of thinking tonight was going to be Mitchy Campbell's night. He's been very unlucky this season with various hardware issues. He almost deserves a win at this point because he's been right on the pace and he's been running with Ethan. When he has been running.
Speaking of Mitchy, he has just line with 3 seconds to go, so he's going to get this lap in.
He's going to get the last lap of the session. Here we go.
Yep.
Yeah, I assumed it was going to be a track for the McLaren tonight. The McLaren really likes the high-speed, high-aero stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, Lamborghini, Ferrari, BMW, and Porsche are your top 4 manufacturers so far.
So Carter still out on track and up on his Delta. Mitch Campbell still out on track and up on his Delta. So those guys fighting it out in the last lap. Vic Chan out on track, down a little bit on his. Mitch Campbell. Looks like Carter just dropped.
Special mention, Adam Falconer joining us, running a very limited program. His first race of the season tonight. And he
Yeah.
has just taken a big chunk out of his best lap time, put himself up into P14. So welcome back, Falconer.
Yeah, it's a great. That's a great lap from Adam, and welcome back to Adam. And also, just a late entry there too. Lachlan Andrews made the grid as well tonight, and I'm not sure if it was Lachlan or whether it was Mitchell Cole, but yeah, certainly punches the numbers back up to that 28. So very good showing for this enduro at Silverstone.
Definitely, J-Man, as the clock is down to 0 for qualifying. This is the final laps for these boys. Who are we looking at? Jordan Moss up on the Delta. Mitch Campbell up on the Delta. Actually, they're nose to tail, actually. Mitchy just out in front of Jordan Moss. So Geordie with a bit of a carrot. Oh, and Mitch super sideways there through the left-hander.
Didn't cost him much.
Mate, I think he gained from it. My God, look at that.
Gee, that could have been 4 tenths.
And it was enough to take him to P5 over John Carter.
There you go.
So close stuff, right down to the wire, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and look, Jordan Moss actually just improved ever so slightly. He was in P4 on a 7.4, and that I just saw the Delta flick over, and he ended up in there on a 7.3. Just not quite enough for Phil Antoon's 57.2, but that just really gives you an idea about how
close stuff, eh?
How close they were up the top. I mean, that was a magnificent lap from Ethan, and I think that's going to be a fierce battle up the top. And
for sure, between Ethan, Jamie, and Phil. Obviously, Geordie, no slouch, and Mitch Campbell right there. So it's going to be a cracking race, guys. Let's just touch on the points quickly if we can run through that.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we see them up there, starting off at the top, Shane Fodderdo. This was a shock to me coming back from holiday to see how much of a shake around there was with Ethan Cale not making Coda, and then I saw a big flip around. So Shane Fodderdo up there, 20-point swing there at the moment over Jordan Moss, and Jordan Moss looking for a good round here tonight after that fourth place qualifying. He'll be looking to make bank on Shane Fodderdo. John Carter in there, not too far back as well in third. Ethan Cale, we just mentioned, great qualifying from Ethan, so he's put himself on the box seat for the start of this one in fourth position overall over Stu Aerosmith. Stewie's done a great job in that Lexus this year. Not too many, maybe the only one. I think there's two, Rusty, I think.
Yeah,
Lexus,
I think there's a couple in there, yep.
Yeah, a couple in there. So Stu doing a great job in there. And then, as you mentioned, Rusty, Lucas Saar, 6th outright in championship, first of the Pro-Ams. And then you go, it's a great showing, mate. I mean, good luck to him racing in any other class other than Pro next season, I think.
Well,
but
just out of interest, would that be the highest, if he were to finish, say, around 6th, would that be the highest finish for a Pro-Am driver that we've had?
I feel like it probably is. I think we might have seen an 8th or a 9th before, but I don't think I've ever seen anything as high up as 6. So it's a great result over Mitchie Campbell in 7th. And then, the consistency of this field. I'm talking about Phil Turner, Phil Davison. We just talked about them engaged in this dogfight for this AM Championship. And look at that. They're inside the 10 outright. That tells you what sort of consistency and attendance those guys have had.
Well, just talking about records, Lucas Saar might be going for the highest ever Pro-Am Championship finish overall. I think we've got 2 AM drivers going for the highest AM finish as well, because 8th and 9th is incredible effort.
It is in the top 10 is impressive, and
pushing each other along too. You love to see it, don't you?
You do. And then obviously Vaughan Martin in the 10th position over Aaron Enright. Aaron Enright having a retirement race in the previous one at Imola. I think he had a big accident, and I think was all she wrote. And then the list keeps going on, and there's so many stories to tell down there, throughout the field. I mean, the likes of Nathan Henderson sitting in P15, got a ton of performance on that car at the moment. We see Ashton Hughes back. There's just so many stories to tell. We could touch on them through, but I think the top 10 at the moment need to just take a bow, given the fact that we have got representations from every class in this field. So all 3 classes are inside the 10. So that's an impressive lineup here tonight.
Absolutely, J-Man. And just look at it, those numbers, and after qualifying is shaping up to be an awesome race here. We do have 28 cars on track tonight. here for round 7 of the 2024 Asrnz GT3 series at Silverstone as the boys roll out on their formation lap. Last of the Enduros before we go to Bathurst next week for I think it's one of the super sprint races. Bathurst super sprint, that is going to be awesome. But tonight we are going to be entertained by these 28 guys and girls, and yeah, it should be a cracking race, gents.
Yeah, can we take a moment to, while we're on the formation lap here, just to quickly touch on strategy? Obviously, I missed last week because I was off in the Uber with Valtteri Bottas, so I didn't quite catch it all. But so I would imagine that Silverstone, and Glenn, you could probably speak to this, Silverstone might be a little harsher on the tyres just because you're doing so much more high-speed turning than you are at a place like Imola. So it'll be interesting. Did you have many guys that took the tyre option last week, took the the extra time hit in the pits, and try to make up time at the back of the race? Because we may see more of that tonight, I suspect, here at Silverstone.
Surprisingly, the majority split took a tyre from what we gathered.
I think just about everybody took a tyre.
Yeah, I think we had the likes of Moss and
Moss went very early.
Yeah, and then a couple of guys up the pointy end that we thought were going to come back and negate that difference, because we saw some phenomenal pit stops. So we're talking about the best of the best was 10 seconds on the jack with an overall pit trundle time of 54 seconds,
right,
versus the guys getting tyres that were probably the best guys getting tyres were about 32 seconds, maybe 34, and then having an outright pit time of sort of a minute 18 or minute something like that, and then it just didn't come back to them, did it, Davo? Really?
No.
The guys that tried to do that. So obviously the front runners were off and away. The position 1 and 2 didn't take a tyre, and they were battling for each other. So on the same strategy, but I suspect you'll see more tyre here tonight, more tyre usage, because the front left is going to take a high.
Yeah, I think Silverstone, is conducive to higher tyre wear than Imola, so definitely going to see the boys looking at tyre change.
In saying that, I'd be very surprised. There's a couple of people that I'd have my eye on not to take tyres. One being the guy starting in P4, Jordan Moss, who famously has to be dragged kicking and screaming to put a new set of rubber on that thing. So
look,
I suspect he's going to run long. And the other one would be Phil Turner, who's made a nice little habit of just running long and pitting when he only absolutely has to, and eking out a result. So.
Definitely. Look, Geordie came in so early last week, Rusty, so we were surprised, both J-Man and myself, but and probably suffered for a little bit to the end of the race. But here we are. It is now round 7. Imola's over. It is Silverstone. It is the 2024 Asrnz GT3 series, ladies and gentlemen. As the boys form up, Ethan Cale, Jamie Cossar, Phil Antoon, Jordan Moss rounding out the top 2. Mitch Campbell, John Carter, Vic Tan, Nathan Henderson, Aaron Enright, and Mr. Thistlethwaite rounding out the top 10. We're about to go green. 80 minutes of racing, compulsory pit stop here at Silverstone. And this is the line right here. So, green, and a massive jump from Ethan there.
Yeah, caught Jamie Cossar sleeping on the tree a little bit.
Absolutely.
And, that was for Phil Antoon to take margin there.
Phil's straight in there. Cossar just, like you said, caught napping.
Campbell got the jump on Moss. It looks like Carter's gone wide there through Baggots.
Yeah, he's just run into the infield a little bit.
Yeah, so that's Vic Chan that's going to keep him honest now. We've got also Nathan Henderson, Thistlethwaite, Frodo and Enright tucked in behind. Lap 1 looks pretty clean throughout the field so far, guys, as we got 3 wide down the end of the chute there. 2 by 2. It's Carter and Chan.
Yeah, and who's that coming up the inside there?
That's Thistlethwaite.
Yeah.
And I think that's Henderson and Thistlethwaite. So.
Yeah, Henderson and Frodo now, and then Thistlethwaite and Chan. And Carter.
Carter's and Thistlethwaite through.
And Lucas Safer and a look on Aaron Enright.
On Aaron Enright as well. So
he's going to
plenty.
make a beautiful move down the inside.
The two
for Lucas
McLarens. Yeah, the two McLarens going head to head there. Very clean start from these guys. And right down a position there now. That is Ashton. Just looking for a bit of a move as they bunch through this infield area that J-Man was talking about earlier. That is Brad Robinson in the Mercedes-Benz. You can see tucked up in behind there. Who's that on the inside there? That's Falconer.
Looking to make the most of that. Aaron didn't get the best run, and it kind of boxed the PPR Aston Martin up. And I'll tell you what, if he can make it live down here, he will get this, and he does.
Oh, Hughes isn't going away, though.
He's actually hanging on to that. I felt like maybe that that Falconer could have shut the door a little tighter on that one.
And whoever was just behind Brad Robinson around, whoever's in, between Brad Robinson and Aerosmith there around.
That'd be Vaughan Martin.
No, Vaughan's good.
Vaughan's good. As we can see, Ashton a little bit wide there. Yeah, somebody
Tony Spence.
Spence sneaked off there.
Yeah.
Yep. So good, clean start, guys. Plenty of racing. Oh, and off the track, Falconer regains. He's wide.
We've lost Mitchie Campbell.
Already the internet gods again for Mitch Campbell.
It's been the story of his season, mate.
That is painful.
And I'll tell you what, he was right on the back of that pairing of Phil Antoon and Jamie Costa.
Oh, look, the pace hasn't eluded him at all, this season. He's been so quick, but, really taking it to these guys up the porty end, but just the internet, what the hell? Mitch Cole, I think that is, in the black Porsche. No, it's Scotty Rivers. No, it's not.
No,
it's
that'll
Mr.
be
Hunter.
that would have been
the Hunter car.
It
just
was
sneaking up the
inside.
inside.
Yep.
Yeah, so nice work from him as we get down to ground level here. And
Mitch Campbell's having, hardware issues that would make an engineer from the Williams team in the mid-noughties blush with feelings of inadequacy. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's for sure.
Cannot get through a race, the poor guy.
Tough stuff. As we pick back up on Aerosmith, Vaughan Martin, and Falconer.
It's a good little battle going on there. A battle of four in there with Stewie leading the way.
And a little bit further forward with Carter, Faraday, and Henderson as well, J-Man.
Yeah, Thistlethwaite was at the front of that pack. They're a little bit tighter a half a lap ago.
They were.
Out through this high speed section, but it'd just be interesting to see what happens as they come through once again through farm and then down through that infield sector. What happens there?
Thistlethwaite quick again tonight, J-Man, in the Nissan. Easily the quickest, comparable at least to Faraday's pace. In the Datsun as well. Vic Chan is starting to put pressure on the back of Jordan Moss's car. And we can see Jamie up the front there actually starting to lean towards Phil Antoon's BMW, the back wing of Phil's car there as well. So Vic Chan.
I've just been watching that Chan and Jordan Moss battle, guys. And I'm calling it early. Mossy looks to me like that. Look, this looks like tyre-saving driving lines, what Moss is doing already.
Yeah, good call, Rusty.
So it wouldn't surprise me. Very patient guy. He's not going to get rattled. Vic is going to have to work hard to get past him.
Interesting stat just coming out, obviously, so early in the race, but on race fuel for this Enduro. We've seen the mighty Datsun of Cam Thistlethwaite go and punch at 258k an hour down through the speed trap, which is 2k an hour quicker than we saw the Lexus go with the top speed of 256 in qualifying. So I'm a little surprised by that. So potentially the race car got a little bit less wing on it. I'm not sure, but we see a move there going on. Who was that? That was John Carter.
Carter looking at Thistlethwaite there, or Thistlethwaite past Carter, should I say, and Faraday in tow. We also saw Enright back past Lucas Saar as well. So look at this. This is a Datsun fest here. As Faraday easily gets down the inside of the Lamborghini there, J-Man, in the second to last corner.
That Lambo looks a little loose. I wouldn't be surprised if Henderson has a bite here.
He doesn't look comfy in it, does he? Henderson looking sharp in the Aston. Carter covering.
it's not underneath him. It looks a little oversteery, the Lamborghini. So wonder if it's just the tyres are coming up to pressure or just a little unsettled on full fuel. But for whatever reason, John Carter not showing the same kind of pace that he showed in qualifying.
Well, we've seen him off track at least once already. I think it was in the first lap there through Beckett's, and so he's still not up to speed. That car really been sort of falling back through the field already.
And Jamie Costa, I've just been watching Jamie Costa just off cam there, and I tell you what, he is all over the back of Phil Antoon, and to the point where he was looking for an alternate line to try and square him up as they came out onto Hanger Straight, and got the car sideways, and it did nothing to compromise the run that he had. And he's really just sizing up the back of that BMW to try and work out where it can get through. BMW seems to have enough horsepower up the straight, but the mid-corner speed of that Ferrari at the moment in the hands of Jamie Costa is actually looking really, really good. So I don't think it's a bit too long before he has a good go.
To me, as a someone who is driving very recently and someone who's done a lot of laps in the BMW, I find the BMW one of the hardest cars to pass. Reason, I think it's just a great all-rounder. It's not the best at top speed, it's not the best at braking, it's not the best at mid-corner speed, but it's kind of up there for all of them without being the best at any of them, if that makes sense. So in the hands of a good driver, a good steerer like Phil Antoon, it's going to be very difficult to get past him because it's just a very solid race car.
So plenty going on throughout the field. We've got Ford, Martin and Ashton trading places back and forth. Martin currently in front in the Martin's plastering Ferrari. That is Falconer. Adam Falconer just tucked in behind him as well. Like the boys were just mentioning, the Cossa Antoon battle ensues, and they're close. They're so fast though, these guys, without a mistake. We won't see a change, but Thistlethwaite and Froddo with Carter in tow, that is heating up.
Just a quick update on the AM battle, Davo. You've got Mark Turbot currently leading the AM class in P17, followed by Phil Davidson. His championship rival, Phil Turner, currently in P23. So
wow.
5, place differential there.
Yeah.
Phil would be hoping to, cash in on that.
Yeah,
well,
talking to
Phil, so. Yep.
He spoke about, obviously, we've had a little bit of a change around the format with these Enduros and the mandatory pit stop is in order now. Required 1 litre minimum dump, I believe, is on order, is it?
Correct. Yep, that's right.
Yeah, so based on the fuel consumption that we know how good that Ferrari is, I talked to Phil last week, as I mentioned, and he was very much looking for the 1 litre very, very quick fuel stop. As we just see, Phil Antoon has been defending this whole lap against Jamie Costa, so that is definitely something that's going to happen shortly. I feel like this early in the Enduro, how much do you defend, before you realise that?
Yeah, it's a great call.
Ethan Cale's starting to skip out into the distance.
Definitely, as we just see Froddo around Thistlethwaite to take 6th position. Great move from Froddo there. And
just following up on...
he's just been rounded up by
Carter as well.
Potentially Hendo as well, mate.
Yeah.
It just went incredibly wrong. Sorry, Rusty.
No, you're right. I was just going to follow up on what you were saying in regards to, how hard do you defend in an Enduro? You've got so much time left to go. There's so many more mistakes to make. You've still got to nail a pit stop, even though it's a 1 litre. You've still got to nail it. So, we've seen throughout the season, haven't we, that 3-4 seconds here or there, if you overshoot the jacks a little bit, just a little bit, and you're a little bit off in the pit stop, that can mean 2 or 3 places tonight. So, do you, this is where I think of guys like JB, for example, who's done a lot of driving here at Asrnz, and he's like the thinking man's racer. Go to the replay.
Yep. There it is. There's the pass from Jamie Costa. I knew it was coming. Phil Antoon defended down the straight before they got into Cox Stowe the last time, and just didn't defend that time, and it was enough invitation for Jamie Costa, sorry.
You're yep. So like I was saying, that JB, for example, you wouldn't defend too hard at the start of the race. You're going to shred your tyres up. Is it worth it? Or do you just slot in behind someone who's clearly got speed at the start of the race, try to hang on to the back of them and make hay later on in the race? You know what I mean? So, great call.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what Antoon's doing right now.
Yep.
And just really stepping aside there and letting Jamie through down the end of the hangar straight there. So, yeah, just maybe quite possibly a measured decision there to let Cossa past.
So it begs the question as well, also with Vic Chan and Jordan Moss, who have been going toe-to-toe since the start of this thing. And, you know, we mentioned about the likes of Phil Turner driving that very, very fuel-efficient Ferrari as well. And then you've got, obviously, Jamie Cossa, who's looking to go forward, even though he's driving the same manufacturer. He's not looking, obviously, to save fuel. But if Jordan Moss is on some sort of preservation strategy, he's fully engaged in a battle now. Can't tell me he's not driving in the mirror a little bit. Obviously, both guys got massive IQs when it comes to sim racing, but you just look at how strong this Bentley is everywhere at the moment, and he's just ranging up beside him as we speak. He's on the wrong side, but he will be on the right side for the next quarter.
There you go. He's let him through. He's let him through there. He didn't defend that too hard. So great call again, Glenn. Yeah. You want to hold your position, obviously, but if it gets too much, then, you know, if Moss is going to run long and keep the same setup, because remember, he only needs to keep within, what, say 20 seconds of Vic to make that work for him. So
yeah, 100%. Yep, if they can get away with around about anything sub 10 seconds on the stop for a splash and dash and get out of there, you know, I think optimum's around 7 seconds or something like that, but you've got to be pretty square on the box. Everything's got to go right. So there's certainly margin to be made, but just, yeah, I think the other thing as well is the Fotado John Carter pairing. I feel like I haven't actually watched the numbers, but I feel like visually they've been moving forward and they're bridging that gap up to Chan and to Chan and Moss. So something to watch. 1.9 seconds off the back of Jordan Moss's Shane Fotado at the moment. So we'll try and keep an update with what's happening there as far as Fotado's pace.
For sure, we will, as we just see Aaron Enright now sneaking up behind Thistlethwaite's car. Thistlethwaite just falling back through the field with obviously Carter sneaking, Fotado sneaking past, then Carter, and then Hendo, and now Enright wanting to take advantage of what looks like a wounded or a not very happy Nissan at the moment. Looked very speedy a few laps ago, but really looks like it's suffering now for some exit speed, as usual with the Datsuns. They almost look a bit taily, but yeah, keep an eye on Enright.
Isn't it interesting? We're talking at the top end of the stream, Rusty. I think you touched on it about the overall, you know, we talked about the average speed being down, but the flow, the overall average speed of this track, and I'll pick on the race leader at the moment, the likes of Ethan Cale out there, who is punching seriously good lap times. Last lap round was an 8.1, best lap of a 7.6. But however, statistically, his top speed that he's been recorded through the speed trap is 250 k an hour. Now, Cameron Thistlethwaite's Nissan and Stu Aerosmith's Lexus have both punched 258, so that's 8 kilometres an hour down the chute.
That's a big chunk, isn't it?
It's a big chunk. But it just tells you that maybe aerodynamically, the way he set that car up with his aero and the setup, that he's got that thing very, very aero hungry through the corners. As we just see, is that Thistlethwaite looking to take back Henderson, Davo?
Yeah, and it's Hendo with a little bit of a run wide there into that little complex of corners in the left. We quite often see it. And yeah, just not able to get that car switched back, and Thistlethwaite all over it. Thistlethwaite just went through a bit of a phase there in the last few laps where he, he's basically let Fotado and Carter past him and just tried to get settled back in that car. And he looks like he's got the eyes pointing in the right direction now and back past Henderson. So he will be, I suppose, looking towards the back of Carter's car again. But look, the Nissan just does not look happy at the hands of Thistlethwaite at the moment.
Tonight's also an Enduro at Silverstone, guys. There's also an opportunity for the guys who are good at setups to shine, because here at this track, you don't want to be understeering, right, with the high-speed turns.
Nah.
So the guys who have a particularly good knack for tuning out a good race setup that can go the distance, not destroy its tyres and not understeer through those fast corners, I think they're the guys that you'll see, just even if they don't have that one lap pace, they'll slowly inch up through the field during the night. So, you know, great opportunity tonight. It really rewards people who put the time in and get their setups right this track.
Yeah, I agree totally, Rusty. And I think with the conditions that the guys are driving under at the moment, midday start, basically, you know, lunchtime start, track was optimum at the start of this race, effectively at 17 degrees ambient with 23 track, and that hasn't shifted. And I don't think, looking at these conditions, you're going to see the track evolve too much more than what you're looking at now. So, you know, as far as driving the car into a window through track grip and stuff, I think this is pretty much what they're going to deal with. So it really emphasises about where they need to set those cars up, you know, set that car up for more around possibly the fuel load and the high-speed cornering consistently throughout the day, as opposed to trying to drive it into a track condition. So it's an interesting call, and I think you bang on the button with that one, mate.
Yeah, very good call, Glenn. I'm just watching Lucas Sarr, who's currently got Brad Robertson in that angry Merc all over the back of him. Now, Lucas Sarr, we spoke about at the top of the broadcast, he's doing his job tonight. He just wants a nice, clean finish to finish in P11. The last thing you want to see is a big Merc with that big bonnet, you know, ranging up on the back of you.
Big bad Brad Robinson running that.
Exactly. So Lucas will definitely be driving in the mirrors at this point. He may just let him through. If I were Lucas, I might just let him go at this point. On your way.
You're right. You don't need any Brad luck at this point of the race.
No, that's definitely not his fight. And Brad definitely looks like he's got the eyes on, and the Merc looks cranky, sounds cranky, with a bit of a carrot of Lucas Sarr in front of him. So yeah, Brad looking pretty pointy there. And where are they? They're 11th and 12th respectively. So
and Vaughan Martin just behind, who's the big rival for Lucas Sarr. So he'd be hoping for Brad to, you know, fire it up the inside, send them both into the wall, and he sails on through.
Yeah, I said I'd give you an update on the Faraday progression over Jordan Moss, and I can tell you now that he's got that under a second. You don't even need the data to see how close that Carter and Faraday have got to Jordan Moss.
Just chipping away.
Yeah, half a second now.
Okay, so that's interesting. Last time we looked, it was Chan in front of Shane. Oh no, Shane did let him pass. That's right, through Maggots Beckett's. Faraday, Jordan Moss let Rick Chan through earlier. That's right. Yep. So,
yeah, I don't think
Geordie
have it that way, but
Geordie playing the long game, you think? Just with
I think so.
tyre conservation, should I say?
Yeah, we've mentioned it a couple of times.
Yep.
You know, Moss is really in tune. He's really good with that Porsche. So as we look at Shane here, might have a big look up the inside here. He's going to do it.
Did that thing come up beside that Porsche?
Just got a little bit. He
Geordie's
caught a
just
little bit of grass on the exit.
Hang on, Shane. You're going to have to ask me out for dinner first. You're not getting up that quickly.
Mossy just caught a little bit of grass on exit there, which allowed Faraday to get up alongside him. But he's going to have another look here, I think.
That skyline, how quick did it range up? It looked like the Porsche was a GT3 car or something. GT4 car.
Yeah, well, look, there's a good 6 to 7k an hour difference between the terminal speeds of those of that Porsche versus the Nissan. So if he can get close enough and under the wing and gain something, we could see that Nissan punch a little bit closer to that 260 mark, and possibly, you know, if he's there or thereabouts as they come on to Hangar Straight, I reckon he'll have a red hot go down on the inside to Stowe.
And if Faraday is on a tyre stop strategy and Moss isn't, he really does, you know, it's imperative that he does clear him here as soon as possible. You know, because you've got to make hay. You can see Vic now is getting away up the road, 2.7 up the road.
Yeah, that was Vic actually just flicking a bit of dust around too, so he's obviously using every inch of the road and some to extract the pace out of that Bentley tonight. We can see in camera shot there, just in the background, that was Thistlethwaite and Henderson still going at it. Not that far behind this group, so the top 10 very close.
Brad Robinson with a big look, but not quite enough. That, like you mentioned earlier, Rusty, that McLaren very good in the middle of the corner, but the big bonnet certainly showed the big bonnet down the right-hand side of the McLaren.
Plenty of it.
Yeah, yeah. It's,
Merck's definitely got a big speed advantage over the Macca on the straights. So just try and stick close. Brad will just be wanting to try and stick close through those high aero sections and try and line him up on one of the straights.
Yeah, so just watching the margins too with the Jamie Kosa, Ethan Cale battle. I will, once if I see it trending in the direction, I think I'll keep you updated. It's currently 3.1 seconds, the difference between position 1 and position 2. Trading some pretty good lap times, very, very close, within a tenth of each other. Lap about one will gain one will lose one. Even sectors, you know, I can tell you that sector 1, best sector 1 for Kosa, 34.6, 34.7 for Ethan Cale. Sector 2, 49.3 for Cale, 49.4 for Kosa, and then 34.7 and 34.6 respectively for Ethan Cale, Jamie Kosa in sector 3. So like these guys are trading big time. As you can see, the delta just chopped away. We're going to get another split, 2.4 seconds. I just called 3.1, now 2.4. So Kosa's got a plan, and it requires going in a forward direction.
Guys, I'm just down here in Mitch Campbell's pit box, and I've just been speaking with the crew. Mitch Campbell has rejoined the race. He's currently 2 laps down. There's a lot of standing around, scratching of heads, wondering where their season has gone for this team here in the garage. But he's back out on track, so well done to Mitchy, you know, getting it back out there and getting around the track. Unfortunately, 2 laps down, but you know, it's just been the story of his season, hasn't it? So
yeah.
Well done. Well done to the boys in the Campbell.
Him and that team
pit lane.
deserve a pat on the back.
So nice work from the boys in the Mitch Campbell team. We pick up on Stu Arrowsmith with Adam Falconer in tow, trying to put some pressure on the Vaughan Martin plastering Ferrari here, J-Man, as they dip into one. Is that one? I think that's one. They look so much the same. No, it's not one. So yeah, nice work from Stu Arrowsmith as usual there. Just holding position there with Martin and Falconer in tow.
all teammates too, so this will be very spicy post-race if they do come together.
13, 14 and 15 respectively from the boys here. Is that, oh actually there's Martin as a side.
Just got out of it, yep.
Yeah, and let's do through. He thought the Duff-powered Lexus might be a little bit quicker than that Ferrari, so maybe some team orders there as they roll out onto the start-finish straight here for the 12th lap. We are in, what, 25 minutes in, ladies and gentlemen, in the round 7 of the 2024 Asrnz GT3 series here at Silverstone. As you can see, yeah, if you like what you see, give us a thumbs up, guys, and hit us up on the chat box.
Yeah, absolutely. Just under 2 seconds now, the margin. Jamie Kosa to Ethan Cale, and I will just leave you two capable gentlemen just for a second. I'll just have to step out. Thank you. So
Carter on Faraday. That battle is not going to go away anytime soon. Rusty and Hendo passed Thistlethwaite and actually gapped him a little bit there. So Hendo on a mission. Thistlethwaite, I don't think ever really looked comfy in that Nissan. Hasn't really lost much to Enright, but Hendo really stretched his legs. We haven't seen Faraday attack the back of Moss's car like we saw earlier. A few laps ago, so Mossy...
If anything, he's dropped off a little bit. He was a lot closer to him, so I wonder there if Faraday might have had a moment getting in the aero wash of that Porsche, or something might have happened there, but he's, you know, was down to under a second. Now we're back out to 1.3. I'm just having a little look further down the field, Dave. In the AM battle, Phil Davidson's starting to come up on the back of Turbot now in the Aston Martin, and he'd be looking to try and get past him again. We were talking about the AM Championship. Got to maximise your points in these Enduros.
Absolutely.
So, so that's something he's definitely been inching towards. He's shown the nose a couple of times. That gap's now at, you know, just under a second. It was a little bit closer, so Phil Davidson's starting to get a little bit closer to Turbot and going to try and make the most of it soon, I think.
Yeah, so Turbot, as you can see there, ladies and gentlemen, very close together, these two. So that's definitely where the battle is for those two guys tonight.
Kenny Simpson, after rocking up late and, bribing the marshals to let him into the racetrack, has got himself up to P20, so that's a fantastic effort.
Yeah, I wonder whether Kenny actually ever got a practice lap in. So
I don't think he did. I think he just showed up on grid, if I'm not mistaken. So.
He does some of his best work like that, I must admit. But yeah, so nice work from Kenny to just sneak in just at the right time or close enough too, and get that Nissan up into 20th position as we speak. And he's been on screen there a couple of times already tonight, muscling his way through the field, and or vice versa. So that's Phil Turner, just tucked in behind him there, actually, Rusty, and Phil's looking quite speedy in the Ferrari. So that might be a space to watch, I think, over the next few.
I'm back.
But Phil Davison, like we mentioned, getting ever closer to Turbot.
Davo, we've got a position change. P6, John Carter has gotten past Shane Fotido. So whatever issue was afflicting Fotido, it looks to be doing. He's dropped right off the back of Moss, and now Carter's got past as well. So something's not right in that Nissan.
Okay, so we picked that up in the replay as he comes through that back section after that, through that back start, finish straight, very sideways through the right-hander. Loses all momentum. Carter just grabs it and runs.
Could the tyres be hurting in that Nissan already? We're only half an hour in.
So yeah, little mistake for Fotido there. Carter to pounce. And
that's that section, Davo, that as they come to Abbey and then into farm, and then they head down to that villager loop. I mean, it's the one point on the track that you're really scrubbing off all that speed. And as you mentioned, he picked up the curb, and the car, when it landed, just got sideways and just robbed him of all that momentum.
I'm just thinking he's dropped right off the back of Mossy. I'm just wondering if he might have spent his tyre tickets a little early here, Shane. And it's
quite
very
possibly
un-Fotido-like, the way this car looks.
It is. Well, look, we're still only not even 30 minutes into this race.
No.
Not even halfway. So we know how these things can phase. These tyres can phase, particularly with some of the cars. But we still have a compulsory pit stop, guys, and who will be taking the tyres? Well, Fotido might be one of them.
Henderson's having a big look
isn't he now? He looks hungry. He sees a wounded Fotido now, a wounded
There's blood in the water, mate.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got positions up. So Phil Davison in the pits, boys. We also have Mitch Cole in the pits. So that's changed positions a little bit down the bottom there.
I suspect Phil trying to undercut Turbot there to try and get top of the AM class. So might be a good move from Phil. We'll see how this pans out. Just watching his pit box time here. It's up to 27 seconds, 28 seconds. It's got to be going for tyres, I assume.
Yeah.
It could be a tyre stop. We should see it stop very shortly. I would have thought the mid-30s at the highest. No, he's still going.
Still going. Bit of damage, perhaps?
Potentially. Potentially, we saw the best of the pit stoppers taking a tyre around that 32, 34 seconds last week. So, obviously, pit transit time quite high here too.
Still sitting. Still on the jacks.
So, long stop there, guys. That will be killing
seconds.
him from Davidson. So, massive. Clearly, you would expect that he may have had some damage and has repaired that car as well. But very long stop as the cameras pick up on Nathan Henderson, who is looking at very sideways here and there in that Aston Martin at the moment. So flames licking from the side and has dropped off the back of Fotido. Like I said, just looking a little bit slippery in that thing at the moment.
Well, that's what happens when you hang around with Shane Fotido, right? You just, monkey see, monkey do, Like, Shane's always sideways, so Hendo's got up there and was like, oh, it's an expression session.
This is how we do it.
Yeah, guys, that long stop is going to have huge implications for the EM Championship battle because you know, an extra 30 seconds on track, that's going to put him behind Phil Turner. He was, you know, 4 or 5 positions ahead of him before that stop. So that's going to extend Turner's lead should he get to the end of the... I know we've got a long way to go, but should he get to the end of the race and hold, that's going to extend his lead heading into the final round of the championship next week.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like, yeah, not a long way to go in the race or in the season either there, Rusty. So, yeah, there will be implications. Interesting stuff.
Speaking of implications, there could be big implications shortly because that margin from first to second is down to 1.4 seconds. We'll get another split on the delta as it's now just under 1.3, 1.294. So Jamie Kosa, Ethan Cale, we've seen this before with these top runners going at it like this. So, you know, it'd be interesting to see when the first one breaks and decides to go for their strategy. The Ferrari clearly got the fuel economy over the Lamborghini. We've seen that already this season. So, but we have heard that the Ferrari does eat its tyres a little harder. So it'd be interesting to see how these guys play this one.
Yeah, he's just been chipping away at him, just reining him in. I see their last lap. He was 4 tenths up on the last lap. So, yeah, just chipping away at it. Henderson looking very racy behind Fodado. That I have not seen that Nissan this loose before. There's something going on. No, there's something going on with Fodado's Nissan. Yeah. No, it looks very uncomfortable to drive at the moment.
Yeah.
He's definitely struggling.
Fodado always spectacular to drive, no matter what he's steering. But yeah, look, it is looking a little bit loose at the moment. Look, Hendo's Aston isn't much chop either. Chased him down. So these guys definitely working hard for their lap times, Rusty. But I think Hendo with the edge, I think, on the Datsun at the moment. Again, as you see Henderson take a big handful of opposite lock to keep that thing in check.
But still right there, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes when these guys get sideways, it's just not, I guess because of the, you know, they're getting sideways at such high speed. It's not really compromising them that much. Obviously, it has done a little bit with Shane when we saw him get sideways before off the curb. And it's succumbed to Carter, but you know, when they're sort of line astern like that through the high speed stuff, not so much.
As they power on, these guys going hard at it, mate. They'll be very much enjoying this battle, I suspect. There'll be big grins all around from Henderson and Fodado alike. As they go hard at it here, 17 laps in, 46 minutes remaining, nearly halfway through this Enduro for round 7 here at Silverstone.
Just watching the Robertson-Saar battle. Robertson's still all over the back of Lucas Saar in that McLaren, and he's just lighting him up here. He's having a big sniff at him.
Yeah, Scotty Rivers just with a pit stop there, around 44 seconds. Unfortunately for Tony Spence coming to make a stop, just hit that control limiter line a little too quick, and the officials have given him a stop go.
Oh, no.
And actually, as Scotty Rivers has just left the lane, they've pinged him as well with a stop go 30 as well. So a couple of pit speed infringements there pretty quickly. Now, what has happened to Ethan Cale? He is back in third position. No,
you're right.
He's back in third on my Delta. Something has gone on there.
He's dropped 20 seconds somewhere.
Yeah, he's done himself a mischief somewhere.
Let's see if we can pick up on it. Oh, the replay's just picked up on the end of it. So it looks like he's coming through Maggots and Beckett's very slowly. That was Jamie past, and here's Phil. He looks like he's just idling along. So that car...
Something's not right.
So he's got a hardware issue or something. That car is not at full speed at all.
Can we get
He's going to pull it. He's pulling it up in the replay. If you just watch it here, he pulls this thing up. Maybe doing a reset on some hardware there, ladies and gentlemen, as he gets the thing back on track. And it looks like it's full noise now. So unfortunate there for Ethan Cale.
Yeah, that's a shock. We've seen him pretty flawless, and I think he rolled across there for about a 2:21 around that lap.
Yeah, so yeah, park that car up.
And whatever the issue was, it looks like Jamie Koza might have got tangled in it to some extent as well, because his last lap was a 2:02. So, yeah, something has happened there, and you're right. It does look. You wouldn't expect Cale to make, an off-track kind of mistake, especially when he's running in front in clear air with a couple of seconds in the bag. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was some kind of hardware issue there. Just the way he was kind of pulling it up. You're right, Dave. It kind of feels like someone trying to reach for the reset button on the direct drive or something like that.
Well, he pulled the car right up and stopped it in the off-track. And
it might have lost steering or force feedback or something.
Force feedback or something. But yeah, definitely didn't look right.
Back going now though.
But it looks like it's on. It's full song again, and what he just lost those 2 positions. So it just shows you the lead they had on Vic Chan there. He's pulled it up again.
He has too.
He's pulled it up again. We've got him live on camera now as he just loses multiple positions back in top. He's gone back to the pits.
And just as Shane Fodderdo drove past, so thinking about the championship, which we mentioned earlier, Shane would be very pleased to see that.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want anything bad to happen to other people, but you're not gonna sacrifice yourself either and pull over and try and get him started again, are you? You're gonna, well, bad luck, mate. See you later.
But a quick woohoo out the window.
Yeah, a little wave as you go past.
Hey, man. Tough stuff.
He's gone too. Ethan Cale's left the track.
Yeah. So tough gig. Vic Chan takes over that 3rd position as our board data just starts to update there. So yeah, Vic Chan in 3rd, Geordie Moss in 4th, John Carter, Shane Fodderdo, Nathan Henderson, Mr. Thistleweight, Luke Gassar up in top 10, as is Brad Robinson. So these guys have just been working at it. And that last give me there has put both of these guys up in the top 10 nicely.
Yeah, well, right. I just thought I'd go back and have a look at the data for you guys, and went on board with Ethan Cale on the first instance, and it looks like he has got a throttle position sensor failure or something, because he was coming down the back chute and the throttle was sort of intermittent going up and down, and it actually just sounded like she was about to give up and just no power. So obviously came right for a little bit and it's gone again. So that's a big shame for him.
Well, hopefully it's not the look. We want to stress here, we're not trying to throw anyone under the bus, but we have mentioned previously the guys at the factory for Ethan Cale, the racing socks, Davo. Let's hope that it's not a racing socks error that's occurred here, because he has mentioned before about the throttle pedal and the racing socks. So hopefully they got the compound right on the racing socks.
Too much fluff in the potentiometer, mate.
Could be, yes. Too much tag.
No.
Oh, no.
Dearie me. We just... awesome stuff. Look, but it has tightened up some battles with that little bit of a mix-up, actually. Carter really well tagged onto the back of Geordie Moss now. The Henderson...
Antoon in the pits.
The Henderson and Fodderdo battle. That is both of those boys, Henderson and Fodderdo, chase each other into the pit lane. Crazy. It's like they raced in there.
Yep, all 3 of them, Vic Chan, all 4 of them, Antoon, Chan, Fodderdo, all in the pits.
Yep.
And look, bang on halfway through the race. So I would suggest that these are tyre stops, guys. I think they're turning it into 2 sprints. Yep. And you saw then, so Moss was able to keep that gap to Chan to around 2 or 3 seconds. And we all suspect that Moss is not going to take tyres tonight. He's probably going to go long and just try the refuel strategy. So that would mean they're going to have, around 20, 25 seconds or thereabouts to make up on him. So
yeah, very efficient tyre stop for Phil Antoon there.
Antoon out early.
32-second stop gives him a total pit displacement time of 59 seconds. So a sub 60 to put tyres on and get back out again is very, very quick. So he did everything right. The team there in the pit stop for Quillian too. So it'll be interesting to see.
And Hendo and Faraday out line astern again.
All three drivers.
They've all done it.
Oh, yeah.
59-second pit lane and trundle time and 32 seconds. And also Henderson mirroring them. So absolutely bang on the button. Aaron Enright Lucas Sarr. Lucas Sarr, 33 seconds on the jack and a minute overall. So only 1 second the difference between Lucas Sarr and Hendo Faraday Chan in front of him. Enright, 101 and 34. So super, super close in the pits for those guys.
Very
Stu
clean
Arrowsmith,
stops.
59 and 32. So, man, these guys are on point with their pit stops.
Yeah, and if you're going to take tyres tonight, you need to practice your pit stops, right? You can't afford, if you're taking tyres, to lose another 2, 3, 4 seconds in that pit stop when you are taking tyres, because those 2, 3, 4 seconds might mean the difference at the end of the race. You might finish 2 seconds behind the guy who didn't take tyres, right? So you need every second that you can eke out of that tyre stop to try and make up time on those who aren't taking them.
Yeah, now you talked about the Phil Davidson, Phil Turner, what it would look like the race on pit road earlier, Rusty, and Phil Turner with a minute 3 overall and 36 seconds on the jack. Ooh. And versus Davidson's 56 seconds on the jack with a minute 23 overall. So that's the difference, and that is why he will have track position over Phil Davison now.
Yeah, Phil Turner currently P19, Phil Davidson down in P22. So basically reversed their positions from earlier in the race.
Yeah, the Campbell car's night doesn't get any easier, guys. Got to stop go 30 for his pit stop. So rushing the entry or something there has cost Mitchie a little bit. Well, another 30 seconds.
When it rains, it pours, even when it's sunny at Silverstone.
Yes, too true. So John Carter really giving Jordan Moss something to think about right now.
Yeah, he's been kind of gnawing away. Oh, was Phil Turner turned around behind him. Great avoidance shown there by both drivers.
Oh, Turner.
That could have been nasty.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to negate the 20-something seconds that he gained in the pit stop.
You're right. That's going to bring them right back together.
So where is Davidson? Where is Davidson on track versus Turner?
So Geordie got a little bit of a jump because of that, didn't he, there?
Davidson's just coming through that section now, so he's made up, I'm going to say, about 15 seconds out of that.
Right.
So he can now see him on track, so he's got a carrot.
John Carter to the pits, and also Cameron Thistlethwaite to the pits. Cameron looked pretty hot on entry. I'll be interested to see if he get away with that one.
Gee, there's no worse feeling when you think that you may have gone. You know what I mean? You think you may have overshot, and you've got that whole pit stop to sit there and think about it, and you're just waiting until you get to that pit exit line. Waiting for the penalty. There's nothing worse.
Festering.
Yeah. He'd be sitting there now going, was I going?
How bad was it?
Yeah. It's not a good feeling.
Thistlethwaite doing the best job on the tyre strat there with a 31-second stop and 58 seconds overall. So it's a very, very good stop. And he comes out clean as a whistle. So gets that thing, and he's right on beside Nathan Henderson on pit exit. Hendo with the momentum gets the better of that one, but that was a great stop by Cameron Thistlethwaite.
Yes, guys, and it looks like only 6 runners yet to pit. We've got Jamie Kosa currently leading, followed by Jordan Moss, Adam Falconer running in P3, yet to pit as well. Ashton Hughes, Mark Turbot in 5 and 6, and Joe Grimer in P23, yet to pit.
So where is John Carter come out in all of this? Because
just about 4 seconds behind Vic Chan.
Okay, so what was Carter had a really efficient stop. Why was he? I thought he was a lot closer to Mossy. Mossy hasn't stopped.
Jamie and
Mossy hasn't stopped.
Oh yeah, Phil stopped, but Jamie and Mossy haven't. Yeah.
So Vic was about, I'm going to say about 2-3 seconds ahead of Mossy, maybe about 2.5 seconds, and John was around a second behind Mossy. So Mossy would be in that gap had he have stopped between Vic and Carter now.
Right. So yeah, God's favour the brave when it comes to those pit stops, and then certainly, you know, with obviously with the issue that Ethan Cale's faced tonight, that has certainly shuffled things around up the top end of town. But that's soon to change when we see the top three and we see Adam Falconer is going to pull himself out of that. He will probably drop back a little bit back in behind, I would think. Carter, Fotado, he'll be actually somewhere around behind Cameron Thistlethwaite, if I'm correct, or maybe even Brad Robertson.
Yeah, I think he might be behind Aaron Enright. Even.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll wait and see, because he was battling with Stu Arrowsmith and Vaughan Martin, if you remember. So a clean stop here, he might be able to get back out in front of Arrowsmith in the Lexus, but he's going to be around, 15, 16, I'm going to say.
Yeah, it's a 35-second stop, so not too bad.
Yeah, it looks like Vaughan Martin's just gone past him down the straight. Falconer leaving the pits now, so coming out just behind Vaughan Martin there, guys.
Right.
Brad Robertson has got in front of Lucas Sarr, so the undercut has worked for Brad. He's managed to clear Lucas in the pit stops.
I'd be happy about that.
Yep.
Although Lucas still very, very close and looking to get that back on track.
And Aaron Enright has been tucked up behind Lucas for the last few laps as well. So
it's a good three-way there.
Yeah, Aaron.
Well, Lucas has not done one lap without someone right up on his bumper.
Yeah.
So they're making him earn it. They're making him earn it.
Yeah. But definitely got the pace on. So he's managing it well. Yeah, nice attack on Robinson. Robinson speedy, but the Merc probably not conducive to a good battle like this against the McLaren, maybe, so.
Yeah,
well,
sorry, Rusty.
Oh, no, sorry, I was just going to say, so, they were nose to tail. Robertson was all over the back of Lucas before those pit stops, and I was just looking at the pit stop times. Robertson was 58 seconds in pit lane. Lucas Sarr was a minute. So there's your 2 seconds right there. That's what it means. You know, that's a positional change because that 2 seconds better in the pits.
That would put that car in front of him. That's right.
Yep. And it reinforces what you just said before, Rusty, about practicing your pit stops with these ones, because that 2 seconds we saw Brad working over Lucas so hard for so long and couldn't get it done, but then you make those 2 seconds down pit road and it's really a free kick in it, because if Brad does more of the same of what he was doing prior to the pit stop, you would argue that he should be able to hold Lucas off.
Yeah, 100%. You guys talk about it a lot, right? The 1%ers.
Yep.
That's what it means. That you can see it there in real time. That's what it means on track. That's a positional change.
So Mossy's pace at the moment, I'm just trying to get a grip, because obviously Mossy's running long. We've only got half an hour to go on this thing, and I'm just trying to see where he's at. Last lap round, a 59.2 plays Jamie's 57.7. Now we expect those sort of times from Jamie. He's been punching the numbers all night. So I think relative to who Jamie's battling with, which is the likes of Vic Chan and John Carter and co, Shane Fotado, those guys are all in the 8s. Obviously Shane last lap round was an 8.9, but an 8.6, 8.6 and an 8.1 for Phil Antoon. A 9's just not going to cut it for too long, even though, he's playing the long game and he is going to make some margin in pit lane, as you mentioned, Rusty. if he doesn't take a tyre and manages to bank one of these 10 or 11 second stops.
Well, it's going to be close because, yeah, I'm looking. It looked to me like his last lap was a 2-minute flat.
Yeah, he's doing 2 minutes. So is Hughes.
Vic Chan's was a 58.5 with his last. We've got, what, half an hour to go, so let's say 15 laps.
Yep.
So 15 laps, you know, if 2 seconds a lap, there's your difference. So he might find himself right on him here at the end of the race.
Yeah, and the likes of Chan and Carter actually did their fastest laps of the race last lap round on a 58.5, 58.5. So there you go. So those guys with a fresh set of boots and a slightly lighter fuel load, that's only going to get better over the coming next sort of 3-4 laps. So
you're right. It's going to be
it's going to be real tight. I love how the scenario works out of these enduros, that, you know, you've got guys like Jordan Moss who are willing to just throw it out there. He's like the modern day McDonald, you know, he's all about those 1% advantages and trying to make a strategy work. I love the fact that these sim racers have got to think about this and go out. And even if it is the fact that you're racing a guy on the same strategy, as we just saw with Lucas Sarr and Brad Robertson, it's about nailing those 1%ers. You know, if you're both coming in for tyres, get the car squarer on the box and your mate. You know, get the car down to, I mentioned it last week, you know, the best of the best get these cars down to the minimum speed that they'll travel when they enter pit lane is 49.7k an hour, because they're on the limiter button in first gear before the line. You'll see a good portion of the field will be pretty safe and they'll drop down as low as 36, 37k an hour and then come back up to the 49 speed limit. But the good pit stoppers will be bang on the minimum or maximum required speed limit for the pit lane, but minimum required, you know, that'll be the slowest you see them go in the race.
Yeah, it's a great call. It's a great call, J-Man, because, you know, from our position, we can see all the numbers, right? We can see the data. We can see how long people are taking the pits. When you're in the car, you don't really feel it like that. You don't think that 1 or 2 seconds is going to make a world of difference. You know, you don't think that just slightly overshooting your box or just entering the pit lane just slightly slower is going to make much difference. But when you're looking at from this bird's eye view that we have, seeing everyone's numbers, you can tell that 2 seconds here, 3 seconds there can make a world of difference at the end of the race, right?
Yeah, huge. So, you know, that margin at the moment, Mossy to Phil Antoon, 27.5 seconds. You could argue that if he's 10 seconds on the jack, we know that total trundle time for the lane on a good day is 58 seconds, and with 10 seconds of stop in there, let's say, yeah, look, I mean, he's going to drop into the clutches of definitely of the Vic Chan, John Carter situation, but by how much? I don't think he has got enough to fill. So he's definitely going to be looking for trying to maintain a podium spot here.
Well, I've just quickly crunched some numbers, so you'll like this, J-Man. Currently now, Mossy is around 51 to 52 seconds ahead of Vic Chan. Okay.
Yep.
So, you know, put that into a pit stop. Now, if he doesn't take tyres, if it's a very quick stop, what did you say? We're looking at about 10 seconds or thereabouts for a no stop.
Perfect scenario, I think, to be honest, on paper, 7, but I think we're looking realistically at 10 seconds.
10 seconds, okay. So just looking at the times of pit stops, the guys who have taken tyres, like you said, you're looking at about a minute. So we'll take, you know, 20 seconds off that. If he were to stop now and just take 1 litre of fuel, he would come out 10 seconds in front of Vic Chan. But the longer this race goes on, the more pace that Vic has with that new set of rubbers compared to Mossy on the old set, that's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller, just, you know, each lap. So what's currently about an 11 to 12 second buffer that he's got in terms of relative pit stop time, well, you know, we know that Vic's going... he's going 1.5, 2 seconds a lap faster. So next lap it's going to be down to 10 seconds.
You'll bleed that off pretty quickly, won't you?
Yeah. But he's only got what, 12 laps left?
Yeah.
So it's going to be so
this is purely based on the premise that Porsche's efficient on its fuel and he's taking a 1 litre dump. That's where my theory comes in. Now, one thing to factor in for Silverstone is, as you mentioned earlier, it's a high throttle percentage track. It's very flowy. You're on the accelerator a lot of the time. So, albeit we talk about the Ferrari being very efficient, I don't know what the numbers are on the Porsche. I don't know how efficient that engine is in that car. So, you know,
it's a bit of a guzzler compared to the Ferrari.
Right. So
he would have to fuel save to get it down to one. You know, to get it down to the minimum fuel stop, he would have to fuel save for a few laps, definitely.
So interesting discussion, ladies and gentlemen. Mossy with plenty going on his head, leading the race at the moment as we see Frodeno, Henderson all over the back of him. Frodeno with a little slip as they run into that right-hand hairpin and then into this left. Henderson can smell the wounded Datsun. I don't think it's even really wounded. It's just
having a rough night.
He's looking slippery out there.
So to give you a scenario, Jamie Kosa just stopped right from the lead of the race. Now, purely did a fuel-only stop, got in and out. Total pit lane time of 41 seconds with a standing time of 15. And that is coming from what we expect is a very efficient Ferrari. So if it's anything to go by, you know, look, even if Jordan's somewhere around that number, 41 outright with 15-second stop, he, like, as you mentioned, based on the numbers you've just crunched, he is in a good position because what we saw last week, didn't we, Davo, or as we saw some of the tyre guys kind of just hit the wall at the back end, didn't we? You know,
there wasn't a lot of gain.
No, they gained a little bit at the start, but then it plateaued. So, and given the fact that we're coming down towards that 20-minute mark left to go, effectively to make the most out of the tyre, time's running out. I think Jordan Moss is doing a fantastic job right now.
Well, the gap has come down already. So it was 51, 52 seconds, you know, a lap and a half ago. It's down to 48 now.
Yep. Henderson showing the nose to Frodeno. And again, into this very tricky little complex of corners after Stowe there. And across,
he's right on him.
Yeah, he was right on him. It's actually closer than that just one moment ago. So, really showing his intent. Henderson looking very quick tonight. And
it's hard to pass that Nissan. I've heard a couple of drivers talk about it. It's just like a bus sitting in front of you on the track when you're in the cockpit, you know.
Mate, it's sideways most of the time, which makes it very wide. Henderson, both Henderson and Frodeno, with plenty to think about here over the next 20-odd minutes as we wind down round 7 here at Silverstone for the 2024 Asrnz GT3 Series, broadcast to you by Matchfit Entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, J-Man, Davo and Rusty in the booth, calling it to you. If you like what you're watching, give us a like, hit the subscribe, and continue to watch for the next Ashton in the Aston, the next 20 minutes.
Just pitting now from P9, guys. So I would expect Ashton to, I'm not sure where he was running before the round of pit stops, but I think he's probably going to come out somewhere around Smith, Vaughan Martin.
He was in 5th, I think.
Yeah, so and then I think when it shakes out, I believe you are right. He's probably somewhere in the Vaughan Martin, anywhere from Aaron Enright to Falconer battle, I think, because that is pretty tight. Well, Enright's got a bit of margin over Aerosmith, actually.
No, I was going to say he's definitely close to Enright because Enright was just spun around on pit exit there. So I'm not sure what happened to Enright. So Enright was facing the wrong way as Ashton left pits.
Okay.
Right, okay. Well, there you go. So Hughesy come out what looks like a provisional P11 somewhere?
Yep, P12, just behind Stu Aerosmith, just ahead of Vaughan Martin.
Okay. So that's really inspired Vaughan, because I thought Vaughan was marching forward trying to tag onto the back of Stewie, which is a pretty tough battle given the outright straight line pace of that Lexus. Now Vaughan ranging up on Ashton, actually. Going to have a look down here. Ashton very, very sideways.
Nice.
Yeah, as we just picked up on the replay of the Enright incident to see what happened there. So look done for Stavo.
Yeah, I think the camera's only just picked up the back end of it there after a bit of a recovery. So, yeah, unfortunate there for Enright. Was looking very speedy, tucked in behind Lucas Saar, who was on the attack mode with obviously Brad Robinson in the Mercedes-Benz. As Ashton continues on in 13th position, tucked in behind. Like these three have been at it the whole race. Vaughan Martin, Aston Hughes, and Adam Falconer. So,
like, didn't really change much during and after the pit stops, and not at all. Yeah, they've carried on. Vaughan pretty sideways as they just come out of that left-hander there, but nonetheless he's carrying on. I do love that Martin's plastering paint scheme, and I love how the fact in these enduros it's incredibly dirty with just over 18 minutes to go of this race.
Yep.
So
as we'll pick back up on Jordan Moss's progress. I just note his last lap was a 59.930. So the Porsche still getting sub 2 minute laps.
Yep, and just a quick update on the gap there, guys. It's now 47 seconds, so he would still have, based on our calculations, he's got about 7 to 8 seconds to play with 18 minutes to go. Yep. Just quickly casting an eye lower down the field, guys, in the other classes. Lucas Saar, the championship, if he can bring it home, he's currently running in P10. I think that would just about wrap up the Pro-Am Championship for Lucas Saar. Vaughan Martin's doing the best he can, and the only thing he can, which is having a solid race. He's currently running in P12, and obviously hoping for a little bit of bad luck for Lucas. In the AM class, Phil Turner has had a miraculous recovery in the AM class. He was around P5 or P6 in the AM class, now leading the AM class, which would see him extend his championship lead over Phil Davidson, who's currently running in P20. He's got Nev Shields and Kenny Simpson running behind him.
Yeah, good solid drive from Nev Shields tonight, and the Nelson Marine car, and then also Kenny Simpson. We questioned how much practice Kenny got to apply to this racetrack prior to the commencement tonight, because he's been away, but he's doing a solid job there to be chasing down Nev Shields. So good work, and the likes of I think Sean Hunter, who we saw early on get a drive through a stop-go 30, I think it was, has recovered particularly well to be there in P19. Going back to that Brad Robinson, Lucas Saar battle that we touched on earlier, guys, just looking at that, we talked about how effective that pit stop efficiency for Brad was over Lucas Saar, and he has managed to maintain it. We talked about how he was tucked up in behind Lucas Saar for the opening part of this race, and I've just been watching. He's had a steady 1.1 to 1.5 second margin over that McLaren throughout the laps since they came out of pit lane. So definitely probably in the correct positions on pace to where they were. So just a little bit unlucky for Lucas to lose that in the pits, because there's not a lot in it. However, that 10th position for that Pro-Am car of Lucas Saar is impressive.
Yeah, and been impressive all season, Lucas. A season out of the box for Lucas, and like you said, I don't think he's going to have that Pro-Am badge next to his name for much longer, honestly. It's completely undeserving at this point, especially when you run a P6 at the championship. I just want to give you a shout out quickly, Glenn. You mentioned before that the guys who took tyres, you noticed that initial burst of speed, but then it would kind of level out. Just having a quick look at the times here, Vic Chan's last lap around was a 59.7 compared to Jordan Moss's 2 minute flat. So, we know he's got to make up about 10 seconds here in order to make hay with the fresh set. That's not going to get it done.
Yeah.
And we've often talked, Davo, throughout the season. I think you were the guy that brought it up, Rusty, about talking to the Porsche drivers about they get the second wind on the tyre. Is Jordan currently getting a second wind? Because he seems to be maintaining that 2 minute to 1:59 high bracket. And then also, it was not that many laps ago, you said that there was a 48-second margin, and then I felt like a couple of laps had passed and it only dropped down another second to a 47 margin. So it's kind of plateaued right now.
Yep. Looks like holding station. And look, if he can be relative to his competitors, 3 or 4 tenths a lap slower, that's going to be enough for him to hold that third position. So
yeah, awesome. So probably Koza's still the quickest of the rest on an 8.7, and then John Carter on an 8.9, and Toon on a 9.0. The pace has certainly fallen away, given that the good portion of the field that we're looking at split this thing in half. and put some good rubber on. So, and you'd expect that the majority of these carts with just under a quarter of an hour to go would be a hell of a lot lighter than we saw in the opening stanza.
I don't want to get too doomsday on you here, guys, but I have noticed if you'll just take a brief look at the sky, it has got a little bit overcast in the last 10 minutes. The sun's gone, so the track temperature must be dropping. Therefore, the tyre pressures would be, you know, perhaps might be a little bit out of whack for the guys who change, because they changed their tyres, you know, 20 minutes ago under bright sunshine. So
true.
If, you know, that might be playing a role. And will we see a spot or two of rain at the end of this? I'm not sure.
Oh, we hope so.
we don't mind the rain.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, I tell you what, there'll be plenty of it because, you know, there's still 24 drivers out on track.
Yep.
And if you add their tears when that rain comes, so the rain, there'll be a lot of water out there.
Adds to the puddles. That's right. As the cameras stay focused on Nathan Henderson, sandwich between Frontado and Thistleweight at the moment, or has been for quite some time in this race so far, in one way or another. And yeah, now with plenty to concentrate on how to get past one sideways Shane Frontado and keep Thistleweight behind him. So yeah, I think Hendo's doing, you know, his fair share of sideways action and a bit of opposite lock tonight as well in that green Aston. Definitely got the that thing wound right up. It's
synchronized drifting, these two.
Absolutely. I'm just picking up on John Carter actually starting to sneak towards Vic Chan's car as well. So
yeah, there's a little bit of lap traffic there that Vic caught at an unfortunate time.
Yep.
And John, you know, obviously made a little bit of impact out of that. But yeah,
Hendo's so close this time round, but he's just got, I don't think he's going to have anything for this Nissan down the front, the back straight. But he was just so close. If he could get to the inside, he'd have a half a chance.
Yeah, so it's a bit of ding-dong battle between Henderson, Frontado and Thistleweight at the moment. As we see Carter just getting a sniff at the back of the Bentley. But Chan just presses on. We will duck back to the Henderson battle though, because that is on fire. These guys like literally joined together. It is a train. Look at Henderson now. Oh, throws
big
it.
Dive. Oh, there's contact.
Oh,
I was just about to say Thistleweight's in the best position here, and look at that.
Oh,
now he's all over the back of Frontado.
So Nissan on Nissan now, and a recovering Nathan Henderson did actually a good job actually just to get out of that. I think late in the piece, I think if we had onboard telemetry, I think you'll find that he probably late in the piece got out of that and couldn't avoid the contact, but nonetheless he was the aggressor and probably paid the ultimate price for it in that scenario. But Thistleweight now gonna put his head down and go to work on Shane Frontado.
Yeah, I just wonder, look, we've only got 11 minutes to go, whether Hendo can drag that Aston back for a bit of a sniff. But yeah, look, plenty going on. Shane Frontado defending now.
So that looks like they're coming up to put a lap on Phil Davidson. There, so Phil won't put up too much fight there. He'll just sort of step aside. He's got a battle going on at the moment, just trying to stay stationed in P20 there, with obviously sight set forward on the 8 car of Phil Turner. That's some 4 positions ahead of him, so just wants to keep his momentum going. I think looking at this now, Rusty, Jordan Moss really going to just take this thing right out to the bitter end, make that pit stop, and then come home.
Yeah, and I'm just watching the gap. It has got down. We're now looking at a 45.2 second margin. So
okay, so another couple of seconds down.
Yep, but he's still got what, 5 seconds up his sleeve?
Yeah,
at this point. But look, 5 laps to go. It would have to be a second a lap now for Chan to make up the difference and be right on him when he comes out of his pit box.
Yep, you've only got to win by a fender, mate. So
that's very true.
So can Jordan Moss keep that car on the podium here tonight?
Well, Chan's also got John Carter kind of sniffing around the back of him. So if he gets too distracted by that, that's going to make it even harder, right? So,
and how aware do you think Vic will be of Jordan Moss and his strategy right now?
oh, look, it would be tough for Vic right now in the car. He's got traffic at the moment. He's watching Carter behind him.
He's got Carter. He's got traffic. Yeah. He's got shit going on.
I think he would know that Moss hasn't pitted yet, but I don't think he would be acutely aware of where the gap is, so to speak. You know, it's very tough to manage that kind of thing in the car.
Now, there's an interesting scenario here for Jordan Moss. He's got Jamie Kosa, who's going to come up and make the pass for the lead of this race, and rightfully so. You know, there was no question about the first and second positions, but you know, Mossy needs to do this in a manner where he doesn't cost himself any seconds. So he needs to work out where he can do it at the most efficient time to let Jamie through, and he can maintain the margin that he's got for the fight that he's got going on. So Geordie real calculated. He'll work this out. Some of it might just come down to timing though, guys.
Yep. And if anything, he'd probably be wanting to, hopefully try and get a little bit of a tow for a lap or two as well to try and eke out a few more tenths. So, great call, Jamie.
Definitely.
So does that margin kind of moved a little bit towards the 40, 42, 43, is it now, Rusty? It might have just taken another little hit there.
Just give me 1 second to punch the numbers up. I'll just have a quick look here. Looking at... Yeah, it has come down. Maybe a second, 1.2 seconds difference. Yep. Although Vic's last lap was a 2:01, so he's battling through traffic. Now that's going to hurt Vic.
Yeah, versus a 2-minute 0.4 for Mossy. So, that just gives him that second back. And, we might be talking about those final few seconds, because that's what it might come down to.
It's just great. This is what opens up in these enduro rounds, isn't it? Different guys running different strategies, different approaches, different methodologies of, how to approach a race and how to set up for the race. We move on to Bathurst next weekend, which is usually an enduro race, but not here at Asrnz this season. It's going to be a super sprint round. Yeah. So that's going to be, compared to this, that's utter chaos. It's pure chaos. 3 very short races, compulsory pit stops. It's going to be all action next week. So do tune in next week if you want to see the exact polar opposite of what you're seeing tonight.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. And as we're just talking about that, the P11 Aerosmith through to Falconer.
Oh, no, sorry to interrupt there. Frodo and Thistleway together. Coming out.
Oh, no, Frodo's still around.
Yeah.
This is going to have an impact in the championship, guys. Double points tonight. Currently running P2 in the championship. So Frodo down to P10
Brad Robinson's going to make bank here. Brad Robinson is, because it looked like Cam Thistleweight was looking for a redress, and I think under the current rules and regulations, it's at this point in time, it's probably not even worth it. I mean, albeit it's gentlemanly, might be best just to press on and take your pain from the stewards later, because he could drop a lot more positions yet.
Unfortunate there. Jordan Moss also in the pits, ladies and gentlemen. Yep. So it is all happening here.
Looking for a really quick stop here.
With a little over 5 minutes to go. The boys have been crunching the numbers.
7 seconds on the jacks, guys.
I say that the perfect stop was 7 seconds, Rusty?
You did. 7 seconds. Absolutely nailed it.
So that is perfection that is a 1 litre dump and gone. So that gives him a total pit lane time.
And he will come out in front of Vic Chan easily.
By about 10 seconds.
Yep.
More. He's got 13 seconds on him.
That is
he's
strategy.
He's going to need all of it. Here we go.
That is strategy played to absolute perfection to this point of time.
Yeah, he's got 12 seconds to make up, and there's about 2.5 laps worth of race time to do it in. So if he can hold it together here, yep. What an effort! What a strategy! Well done.
Yeah, brilliant. Back to the Martin Aerosmith Falconer battle, guys. I just sort of picked up on that. I don't want to take anything away from what we've just seen as far as the strategy from Jordan the Boss Moss, but that battle there, as per usual here at Asrnz, these guys have left it down to the final 5 minutes to just bunch back up and say, well, you know, we know it's an enduro, but we'll leave it for the last 3 minutes. We're going to go at it.
Oh, that's right. There's a race on. That's it. Let's get cracking. So, yeah, like you mentioned, J-Man, just focus on the Vaughan Martin car there. Just the plain white Martin's plastering livery gets
Under
so
attack.
dirty after...
in the grass.
What? Wow.
He needed a little bit more racetrack.
And it
Won't
wasn't
find it out
there.
there.
It wasn't there.
Oh, he's deep into Stoke.
Wardy just holds his, just keeps his cool, just goes, bro, what are you doing out there?
I can imagine what's going through Falconer's head in the cockpit of that Ferrari, because this is his first competitive race of 2024, guys. Like I mentioned before, very limited program. So right back into the fray, right back into the mix.
Yeah.
So he'd be having a ball, don't worry about that.
Great call on the numbers too, Rusty. Just looking at that margin, 11.001 seconds, the difference between Jordan Moss and Vic Chan. So really appreciate the accuracy on the data that you provide, mate, around where that battle was going. So yeah, you nailed that one, and that's going to be pretty much, I think, as it stays. As you mentioned, it's only 3 minutes 10 seconds of this race to go, so only a couple laps left in it. So Vaughan Martin was very, very close then, guys, to Stewie.
Yeah. That battle continues on. And yeah, what a great battle that's been. Those guys inseparable for most of the race. Carter now ranging up on the back of Vic Chan. He has got a couple of laps up his sleeve here. Does he attack?
This is a solid drive from John. This is really consistent, done a great job all night.
Considering he had to...
Well, he looked quite loose at the start of the race, didn't he? We talked about how he was going back through the field, and it didn't really look too comfy.
No.
So the Lambo's, it's obviously come to him at the end of the race, and maybe running on lower fuel loads suits the Lambo more. But yeah, looking very racy behind Vic now.
Yeah, for sure. A little bit of a flick of the wheel there on the exit of that last one. But yeah, we did see him take a little bit of an off-track excursion there in lap one there very early on. But yeah, it did take a while to come to grips with it. But yeah, definitely looking speedier towards the end here. Vic will still be keeping an eye on those mirrors, albeit with that little wriggle there, a few corners back. Carter just dropping back a few car lengths now. A little bit of breathing space for Vic Chan.
Yeah, can't say the same for Stu Aerosmith, because Vaughan's still on the job. And big shout out to Nev Shields tonight in the number 13 Datsun, just trying for a late charge there on Phil Turner to try and take honours for the M class. He's probably going to run a little too short, a little too late, but only about a second and a half splits the top two in the M class.
Oh, Martin passed just quietly.
Okay, got him.
The Lexus is coming back though. Yep.
Yeah, and good luck trying to out horsepower that Lexus.
And
if anything, Falcon is having a look at Martin.
He wants to have a go now.
Yeah, he's on the wrong side, but he runs it down deep.
Oh, a little bit of grass.
Yep.
That'll put him out of that little fight.
Yeah. Vaughan maybe looking for the switch back in the drive. He'll need every bit of that just to stay with the Lexus through this part of the track, because the Lexus just got so much top speed. That margin, Mossy to Vic Chan, only down to 9.5 seconds. So Vic hasn't taken much more than probably a second and a half out of that in the last 2 laps. So as you mentioned, Rusty, that battle is probably all said and done. I think we can see our podium now, barring disaster.
Yep. And
absolutely.
You know, just goes to show at the start of the race, you know, we mentioned it looked like Mossy was doing a little bit of tyre conservation.
Yeah.
You know, just taking a little bit easy. You know, he doesn't get caught up in other people's races, does
No,
he?
no, he doesn't. As we just see Jamie come across the line, he was
Yeah,
definitely
grabs-
not conserving the tyres in the last couple of corners,
I
and
think
he
he rolled
brings
out of
it
it so that he
home.
didn't have to do another lap, mate.
He brings it home to win round 7 here in the 2024 Asrnz GT3 series at Silverstone. Phil not too far behind. Geordie Moss, who we've gone into great detail working the strategy, keeps that car on the podium. Nice work from Jordan Moss. Vic Chan not too far behind with Carter in tow.
Saar has just come together with Robertson on the last lap, guys.
Oh no!
No.
Are they going to succumb to?
They're both off track.
Faraday needs to get back past them. Nathan Henderson in 6th position. Nice work, Hendo. Good drive, good solid drive.
No, they've kept Faraday behind. The gap's too big.
Brendan. Brad Robinson, Lucas Saar, 7th and 8th respectively, across the line. Shane Faraday will come in 9th position after Thistlethwaite redresses after a bit of a spin a couple of laps ago. Rounding out the top 10, Stu Arrowsmith. Nice work from Stu.
Yeah, good work from Stewie there, holding off Vaughan Martin and Adam Falcon at the end. Obviously, Falcon having a little run wide the lap before, but Martin kept the pressure on him. Thinking, before we go to these driver interviews, just a big shout out to all those guys out there racing tonight that don't get the opportunity to come and have a chat with us in the hot box. Because there'll be a lot of drivers, the likes of Aerosmith, Lucas Saar, and Brad Robertson, just to name it, that featured really, really strongly tonight, and they'll walk away from this race tonight pretty satisfied with the race that they've had, irrespective of their position. Not that there's anything wrong with a top 10 or a top 15 or at all, but shout out to those guys for going at it, and big shout out to Phil Turner, who's potentially maybe already wrapped this thing up looking at those positions, because I think he was sort of P15 and Davison was P20, so that one there might be a mathematical equation that's already done. So, however, great racing tonight, and guys, we shall kick this off by dragging down Jordan, who effectively a lot of the stream was based around this guy's strategy and the performance that he put in. So I'll kick this thing off now and grab Mossy in the comms box and start the chat off by saying, mate, congratulations on 3rd. You got us on comms?
Yep, got you guys.
Mate, you pretty much had the comms team locked down on what the deal was with the strategy, but from our point of view, it looked like you played that long game and got the perfect stop. Is that how it played out?
Yeah, that was always my strategy. It was actually my strategy last week as well, to go as long as possible. Tonight it paid off. I managed to get good clear air for most of the race, and just keep good consistent times. And I was a bit worried. I slightly sped into the pits, but managed to pull it off. And good stop. So all in all, good race.
Paid the stewards off, or just managed to arrest the speed?
Flicked the 20 out the window as I went past them.
Okay. So, and so on that, we were obviously running some numbers. Rusty was just an absolute magician with the abacus tonight and seeing where you were going to pop out. Were you maybe as aware of the margin back to Vic Chan as we were up here in the box? Were you watching the numbers and seeing the lap times you were running versus the margin back to Vic, or no?
No, I couldn't actually see his times just because there was a few blue flags between us.
Yeah.
But when I was behind him before his stop, I was sort of monitoring his times to see what he was doing on with a worn tyre. So I knew I could match him. So I was pretty confident I would come out ahead of him, but I didn't realise I'd come out 10 seconds ahead of him.
Yeah, absolutely nailed your pit stop. See, that 7-second stop, fastest of the night, and Glenn mentioned it earlier in the night that a 7-second would be an absolutely perfect pit stop. We were thinking that you would be, around 10-second would be a safe, but nailed the 7, and then 12 seconds ahead coming out of the pits.
Yeah, I was tweaking my fuel. I was really watching the numbers go down and just trying to make it so that I would save every bit of time I could. I even took 3 litres out of it just to really, that was going to save me another second. So
Okay, so how many litres did you actually put in, Geordie?
put 10 in.
Okay, all right. So there you go. So it can clearly, I thought that 7 seconds was based on a 1 litre dump, but it obviously is a bit more efficient than that. And I think the week before, I think your stop was around 10 or 11 seconds. So I don't know if there was a difference in the fuel dump there, or maybe accuracy on the pit box or something. But that was picture perfect, and yeah, come out some 11 point something seconds ahead. So like you played that perfectly. Right down to when we were calling it, mate, we were just wondering how you'd manage Jamie coming through, and whether you were, you'd look for the perfect opportunity to let him through to not compromise your overall race time versus, getting engaged in a race sort of thing. So well done, mate.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, I figured I'd just wait until he called up to me, and that was when I'd pit. If he caught me earlier, so be it. If he caught me later in the race, well, I'd just pit and clear air. So.
Yep.
Yeah, we made the call earlier in the stream, Mossy, that it looked like there was a bit of tyre conservation going on with your early race pace. Was that the case?
No, the Porsche's quite, as a heavy car, it's quite sluggish.
Yep.
Certainly doesn't turn in, and you don't get that drive off the corner that you do when you've got a light fuel load. So I just tried to keep consistent and, maintain a good pace without trying to push it.
Well, mate, I don't want to get you too excited, because I'm sure you'll get excited enough. But if we just cast a quick eye over to the championship, I'm not sure if you're aware or not, but Ethan Cale DNF tonight.
Yeah, I did see that. Yep.
No points tonight for Ethan. And I think, where did Shane end up, guys? Was it around P8 or P9?
Yeah, I think he came in
at
at 10, 9 or something. Yep.
So you may find yourself in the worst possible position, which is heading into the final round, super sprint round at Bathurst, with all the walls of death leading the championship.
Quite possibly.
Yeah. I think the drop round's really going to throw a spanner in the works there. But looking forward to last round.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well constructed race on a well constructed series so far, mate. So well done on that, Jordan. That was very, very entertaining, mate. We do love seeing somebody throw caution to the wind and back themselves on a strategy, and you did that tonight, mate. So congratulations, and all the best for Bathurst next week.
Cheers, guys.
Jordan Moss, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, and we will bring in P2, and there was never much doubt about where this guy was going to finish after Ethan dropped out, and then this guy was a solid second position. You got us on comms, Mav?
Howdy ho.
Mate, how was that for you?
It was good fun. I knew that probably third was the best when the race started, so did my usual sneaky start and got up into second, but yeah, Jamie was much quicker. Ethan was out in front, and shame what happened to him, but yeah, it was good fun, just holding up for a little bit.
Yeah, well, look, it was a great start. I might have called that. I thought Jamie was sleeping on the tree there, and you poked it down the inside into one, and then you guys got engaged in a pretty good battle, and then it sort of settled itself down, and then you went about creating a strategy and having a pretty good stop. I think there was I think about 4 or 5 of you at the time, Mav, that really just punched some solid numbers on that tyre strategy stop, and there was not more than maybe 1 or 2 seconds between all of your total pit lane time that you were racing. Obviously, Jordan was the odd one out going with that long strategy with a small fuel dump. But, mate, that's another outstanding drive. And, we've called races with you before. And there's been times, mate, where we've just absolutely seen you just tick the box and go gold. So certainly getting plenty of competition here, Mav. So you'd be enjoying it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's with the new format and some new guys in the race, it spices it up and makes it a bit more interesting. So yeah, I look forward to having the Thursday night races. I didn't do any practice for this one though, which is a shame. So I had no idea how the tyres were going to do. So I just thought Silverstone might be a bit rough on the tyres. So I went for a tyre change.
Yep.
I should have learned my lesson from last week, but it's funny because there was hardly any drop off, and around the 40-minute mark, it's almost like the tyres feel the best.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad you answered that, Mav, but I'm kind of disappointed because you just took my thunder for my next question, which was going to be, did
Sorry,
you
mate.
ever, the Beamer's quite good on tyres. Did you ever consider running a no tyre stop strategy for tonight? Because, yeah, like you mentioned, the Beamer, Beamer doesn't tend to lose too much pace, does it, from the start of a stint to the end of a stint? So I just wondered if that temptation was there leading into the race.
I thought it did lose a lot usually, but when we
Okay.
did the race last week, it was pretty good.
Yep.
I didn't change tyres, but I just thought Silverstone was a bit rough on the left, so
Yep.
I just went for a tyre change. Didn't really think
It
about
worked
not
out
doing
for
it.
you.
Jamie didn't change tyres, he said. So
Really?
I was looking at his times, and except for the last 10 minutes, I think he was on pace. So didn't look like anything fell off the cliff until maybe the last 10 minutes. If there was another 10 minutes in the race, who knows what would have happened.
Yeah, I think Jamie was a 15-second on the jacks and a 30 and a 41 outright versus Mossy's 7 and 34 or whatever it was. So there's a bit of margin there. But yeah, we did sort of second week in a row, to be honest, man, where we've looked at the data coming through, and albeit maybe Shane Fodado and John Carter punched a better time when they came out on a fresh tyre and a diminishing fuel load. Everyone else kind of plateaued, and I kind of expected some big numbers at the back end as the fuel was burning off with a better tyre, considering you guys kind of 50-50'd it a little bit with the tyre strategy, but it didn't really, to be honest, it didn't really come, and track conditions were pretty neutral. You started on 17 ambient with 23 track and pretty much finished that way. The sun did fall off at the back end, but the track conditions didn't really change. So I was a little surprised to see the majority of the field not improve, as you mentioned. It kind of just, you guys plateaued on your times there. So, but
yeah. Look, I think it was just a bit of maybe tiredness towards the end as well.
Yep.
Bit of fatigue and just like, I'll just turn in.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah.
No,
Hey, look, the car looks solid. You look solid. You banked another solid result. So yeah, like anytime you get to come up here and muck around with these two blokes and myself, mate, it's a good night. So congratulations, Bev.
Yeah, thanks for that, fellas.
Great drive, mate.
no, nice work.
Cheers.
All right, so that's Bev. See you at Bathurst, mate.
See you, mate. See you then.
All right, so there you go. All right, last but not least, is he down there? Where is he? Yeah, here he is. Welcome to the comms box. Welcome to the hot box, Jamie. You got us on comms,
Hi, fellas.
mate. How was that?
Yeah, it doesn't feel that great, to be honest.
Yeah, look, a
yeah.
mechanical's a mechanical, mate. It's happened to the best of us. You got to take them when they're on offer. Nonetheless, you were going at them, mate. You were heading in the right direction before the disco or before the mechanical. So
Yeah, it would have been really good to see how things would have shaken out at the pit stop. 'Cause I was confident I had the pace, and I did take quite a lot of fuel. Oh, I started with a lot of fuel, sorry. So I knew going deeper in the race, same as last week, would give me less fuel to take on board at the stop, and I was thinking that could be the opportunity, but we didn't get to see it, and yeah, that's a shame. And yeah, and because earlier in the race, Mav had let me slip by a bit easy as well, and yeah, I'm thankful for him for doing that, but he wasn't necessary. But yeah, it just changes the whole race, when those things kind of just work out and the path clears, so to speak. And
Yeah.
yeah.
now, I follow a bit of drag racing in my spare time, mate, and I think I might have called at the start of the race. You might have got caught sleeping on the tree. What was the deal at the start of the race, mate? You just missed that flag, or you?
It's tradition. I just can't start the race very well. Yeah, every week I think I'm gonna do something different, and every week I don't do anything different, and I end up losing a spot or two. Maybe I need to practice it a bit more. That's probably the answer, rather than hot lapping.
Well, look, you came good when it counted, mate, and did it quite convincingly at the back end, mate. So, look, I think if I bring up my data here and have a quick look, now that's basically, looking there. That's 2 from 2, mate. So, 2 from 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 2 from That's a pretty. You're 100% since you got here, so nothing wrong with that.
Well, we didn't want Ethan to win every race. We were like, oh, we have to, kind of beat him at least once, and yeah, now this has happened. I feel really bad. But yeah, it's nice. Good to be back racing on a Thursday night with you guys and have a bit of fun. And yeah, hopefully no mechanicals for anything next week for anyone next week, and we put on a good show.
Fingers crossed.
I'm sure, mate. Bathurst always turns up something special. It's just one of those places. It's a special place, and for better or for worse, it definitely creates some stories after the race because, as Rusty mentioned, it's a wall hungry. It's a car eater, and you boys are, especially at the top end of town, you guys are going lightning fast. I think seeing a 56 in there tonight was pretty impressive in quali. And then, the race pace was pretty impressive. So another solid result, mate. Like I said, 100% since you got back here, mate. So keep that trend up, mate. And pretty entertaining stuff. Congratulations.
Awesome.
Cheers,
Great
guys.
drive, JC.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Good on ya.
Enjoy that one, mate. Cheers, buddy. There you go, lads. Well, that was round 7.
Round 7, Silverstone.
Done
What
and
a
in the
cracker.
bag.
Yes.
Yeah, and like you said, it's just a solid drive from JC. These OES guys, they're something else, aren't they? Like they're a proper team. They push each other along. They get great results. They turn up. They perform every single race. Jamie, I can understand his trepidation in celebration there and not wanting to kind of dance on the grave of Ethan. And it would have been a great battle, but these things happen, right?
Yeah,
so he made the most of it and he did his job and he brought home the win. And Mav as
absolutely.
well in P2, just clean races from both those guys. So fantastic.
Yeah, and those things happen, and Ethan's been around a while, and like condolences to Ethan tonight for the issues that he's had. Looked like to me like a hardware mechanical failure from what I saw. He'll bounce back. There's plenty of gold in the tally that he's got, and look, these guys will take this fight down to this Bathurst, and mate, it's going to be nothing short of entertaining for us three up in the box for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad we got our strategy talk out tonight because there'll be very little strategy going on next week.
Survival.
It's a super sprint round. Well, it's survival, but it's super sprints and it's low fuel. It's 2 20-minute races and a 30-minute race. So it's go as fast as you can for as long as you can. It's basically helter-skelter, foot to the floor as fast as you can possibly go. So that's going to spice things up a little bit, especially at Bathurst, right? So
for sure,
very different vibe.
For sure. So,
but I think it is the perfect storm too, guys, because that ability to, if you have a bad one in the first one, you've still got 2 more to recover.
Yep.
And
for sure.
And really make this thing, go right out to the very end. The likes of Jordan Moss and the likes of Carter and Fodado and co. And then also Davidson, Turner, if that's not a done deal already, we'll have to crunch the numbers during the week, maybe, Rusty, and see what that looks like when it shakes out and maybe calculate a couple of, maybe 3 times per class and see if there's a mathematical equation with a drop round.
Yep.
That really gives us an idea about
you wouldn't want to be
in the fight.
You wouldn't want to be hanging on to a slim margin in the championship position heading into Bathurst super sprint round, would you? That's a nervous time for someone that's trying to just hang on and finish a race. You don't want to be doing that. So yeah, we'll definitely have a look at the numbers during the week and see what we're faced with when we get back here next Thursday night.
We will look forward to that, guys. Awesome stuff. Good call again tonight. Plenty of racing out on track throughout the field for round 7 at Silverstone, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Once again. And like Rusty said, total mayhem at Bathurst next week. Super sprints. Join us then. It's that's it for tonight. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Good night all. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll catch you next week.